The Village Manosphere. We, as men, have shouldered the burden of responsibility for far too long, Bako declared, his voice infused with determination and anger. We have toiled, bled, and sacrificed, only to receive no gratitude in return. But today, my brothers, that changes. A wave of fervent agreement rippled through the crowd. No longer shall we be silent, Bako continued. We demand recognition for our contributions, respect for our sacrifices, and an equal share in the joys and burdens of this community. The words that flowed from Bako's lips were not merely spoken in the heat of the moment, they were the culmination of lifelong ideas, deeply ingrained beliefs that had simmered within his soul. A few days earlier, beneath the sheltering shade of a mighty baobab tree, two men, Bako and Jelani, sought shade from the sweltering day, their foreheads glistening with beads of sweat, as they engaged in an earnest conversation. I.e., Jelani, it seems like nobody understands our struggles. We toil hard, we pour our souls into our work, yet it feels like our efforts go unnoticed and unappreciated. Jelani nodded empathetically, his dark eyes reflecting the weariness of shared experiences. Yes, Bako, you speak the truth. It's as if society expects us to embody unyielding strength and never show vulnerability. But deep down, we have our own battles to fight, our own burdens to carry. Jelani, a divorced father of 5, lamented about the unfair treatment he had received in family court. He argued that men were often discriminated against when it came to child custody battles, and that the court elders favored women. Bako, who was struggling with his finances, shared his frustration about the lack of job opportunities available. Bako, my brother, don't get me started on dating these modern women, said Jelani. They are materialistic and expect you to come out of your mother's belly with gold coins in your hands, Jelani said, illustrating with his hands. Both men laughed heartily. Bako placed a hand on Jelani's shoulder. On a serious note, my friend, what if we are not alone in this? What if there are other men who bear similar burdens and yearn for change? Perhaps, united, we can raise our voices and cultivate a community of like-minded men. Jelani's eyes gleamed with newfound hope. Indeed, Bako. We must embark on a journey to address these grievances and illuminate the challenges faced by men in our village. The men wasted no time in putting their plans into action. Word spread swiftly throughout the village, and soon, a meeting was called for all the men to gather under the shade of the towering baobab tree. Excitement filled the air as the men gathered, their eyes filled with curiosity and a shared sense of anticipation. Jelani stepped forward. Brothers, we have come together today to address the grievances we share as men. It is time we confront the challenges that weigh heavily upon our shoulders, and seek a path towards understanding and change. Firstly, my fellow brothers, let us acknowledge the disparity in labor. We find ourselves shouldering the burden of the most physically demanding tasks, while our sisters are often spared from such hardships. It is time we challenge this expectation, and foster a more equitable division of labor within our village. The men voiced their agreement, their murmurs growing louder. Jelani's voice grew resolute as he moved on to the next grievance. Brothers, another grievance we face is the expectation to provide for our children, even in situations where we are no longer with the mother of these said children. This is while the mother lays in the bed of another man, who now plays father to your own children. A chorus of voices rose in support as the men agreed with the point raised. Furthermore, my brothers, we cannot overlook the changing dynamics of modern relationships. We live in a time where the concept of submission has evolved. Women have become strong-headed and just cannot let a man lead. Our mothers and grandmothers understood the importance of a male voice. However, the modern woman will challenge a man's authority in his own household. The men could not contain their excitement. This message fully resonated with them. Lastly, brothers, the dating market is getting more materialistic by the day. It often requires significant resources, and rejection can be disheartening, especially for those who do not meet society's narrow standards. If a man does not have any resources, or come from a wealthy family, it's over for him. The women do not give him the time of day. It's as if the man has a stench on him, one that cannot be washed away with mere soap, but needs a traditional healer. The men roared with laughter and agreement. Xhosa, a well-known wealthy man in the village, rose from his seat. The room fell silent, acknowledging him. He bowed, acknowledging the elders, and the men gathered. If we no longer wish to shoulder the burden of physically demanding tasks and financial responsibility, how do you propose we demand submission and maintain balance within our relationships? Asked Xhosa. Bako, acknowledging the complexity of the issue, responded with genuine introspection. You raise an important point, Ose. It is a complex matter that we may not have fully considered before. Another man, named Oko, rose to his feet, his voice filled with skepticism. He directed his question at all the men gathered before him. Tell me, Oko asked, his tone challenging. Which one of you would give your daughter's hand in marriage to a man who cannot even afford the dowry? Or does that only apply to other men's daughters and not your own? As a father, the financial status of my son-in-law matters to me, as I want my daughter to have a good life. Or am I being, what was the word? Materialistic. The room fell into a heavy silence as Oko's words echoed in the air. Another man, named Tendaji, stood up and directed his words at Jelani and Bako, his voice filled with a mix of disappointment and frustration. Jelani, Tendaji began, his tone accusing. Are you not the one who has fathered 5 children with 3 different women, yet you fail to provide any support for your offspring? And Bako, are you not the man who spends his days idling away under this very baobab tree? He paused, allowing his words to sink in, before continuing with a pointed question. Young men, please help me understand. Have you called us here to ask us to lower our standards for our daughters so that you can have a chance? To do what exactly? Tendaji's tone carried a mixture of anger and disappointment. We, as men, have set the standard for our community, for generations, Tendaji continued. We hold positions of leadership, as kings, traditional healers, and council members. We rely on the support of our women, who ensure our well-being and help us carry forward our lineage, through birthing the future generation. If you cannot see the value in upholding these values, then I question how we can proceed with this conversation. The room remained silent, the weight of Tendaji's words casting a shadow over the gathering. Jelani and Bako bowed their heads in shame, understanding the magnitude of the words spoken. Baba Okoro, a wise elder in the community, rose from his seat and stepped forward to counsel the young men. His voice gentle yet firm. Listen, young men, Baba Okoro began. Reflect on the words of wisdom spoken here today. Take them to heart and use them as a catalyst for self-improvement and meaningful contributions to society. He turned his attention to Bako, his tone filled with empathy. Bako, I knew your father. He was a great warrior, and I understand the challenge you face in filling his formidable shoes. But the solution is not to give up on life, or blame society for the way your life has turned out. We are all here gathered as part of society, and we encourage you to thrive, to find your own path, and to make a positive impact. Jelani, I know you mean well, however, this is not how a thriving community is built. You have fathered 5 children in this community, who currently do not have a positive father figure in their lives. Yet you talk about dating. My son, concentrate on becoming a better role model to the children you have already brought into this world. With a stern but caring expression, Baba Okoro concluded, from now on, any future meetings must go through the Council of Elders for approval. One by one, the men stood up, leaving Jelani and Bako sitting under the baobab tree where it had all begun. The words of the wise men who had spoken that day, echoing in their minds. The two were ready to embark on a journey of self-reflection, growth, and positive change within themselves, and the society they called home. Thank you for watching our story about the Village Manosphere, and we hope you enjoyed it. What lessons did you draw from this story? Share them with us in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Tales of the Savanna for more exciting and thought-provoking stories. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time, in the Savanna.